So, what's the real difference between just good English and truly great English? Well, a lot of the time, it all comes down to a handful of really specific tools that make you sound more natural, more professional, and way more precise. Today, we're diving into those tools, C1 level modal verbs. Let's get right into it. Okay, quick question for you. Do you ever feel like your English, I don't know, comes across as a little bit blunt? A little too direct? Or maybe you just can't quite get across those subtle shades of meaning you have in your head. If you're nodding along right now, this is definitely for you. And here's exactly what I'm talking about. On the left, you've got perfectly fine B2 English. Maybe he is busy. Simple. But look at the right. That's a huge leap in sophistication. He must be busy shows you're not just guessing, you're making a logical conclusion based on evidence. And she can't have forgotten is so much more powerful than just saying something is impossible. You're actually demonstrating your thought process. You see, at the B2 level, we tend to use modals almost like on-off switches, right? Can is for ability, must is for rules. But getting to that C1 level, well, that's when you start seeing them as a full set of precision instruments, each one designed for a very specific job. And here is the big secret. At the C1 level, modal verbs stop being just about boring grammar rules. They become your go-to tools for expressing things like probability, deduction, and even politeness. This is how you start to sound really diplomatic in a business meeting, or, nuanced in an academic paper. All right, so our first C1 skill is all about showing exactly how certain you are about something. Nailing this is an absolute game changer for sounding more credible and, frankly, more intelligent. Look at how must and can't are doing some heavy lifting here. They're not being used for rules at all, but for logical conclusions. When you say, he must be exhausted, you're not ordering him around. You're saying, based on what I see, this is the only logical answer. And she can't have finished already. That's pure disbelief based on logic. It packs so much more punch than just saying, I think it's impossible. But what happens when you're not so sure? This is where the real art comes in. Could and might are absolutely perfect for just throwing ideas out there, maybe when you're brainstorming with a team. May, well, that suggests you're a little more certain. Choosing the right one shows you're really thinking things through, which is a huge skill in any professional environment. Okay, so moving beyond just logic, modals are absolutely essential for navigating social situations. This is how you start to sound way more diplomatic and a lot less confrontational. This is a classic. Instead of just saying, hey, you made a mistake, which can be really direct, the phrase should have frames that criticism as sort of reflective advice. It is an incredibly useful and common way to give polite feedback or even just to talk about your own regrets. I mean, look at this. The power of a single word is just amazing here. Just by swapping can for could, you instantly make a request sound softer, more formal, and more respectful. Can you is totally fine with your friends, but could you, that's what you want in an email to your boss or a new client. All right, let's talk about a super common trap that even really advanced learners fall into. Getting this next one right is a huge sign that you've reached a whole new level of precision with your English. Okay, so the difference here is subtle, but it is so important. If I say you needn't have brought food, it means you brought food, but you didn't have to. The action happened. But if I say we didn't need to call them, it means it wasn't necessary, and because of that, we didn't call. The action never happened. See? A tiny change in structure, but a completely different meaning. Okay, time to put it all together. This is where you're going to have that big aha moment. We're going to take some pretty standard B2 sentences and give them a full-on, sophisticated C1 upgrade. So first up, instead of just stating your certainty like it's a plain fact, you show your thinking. He must be busy tells the listener that you've arrived at a logical conclusion. It just sounds more analytical and, honestly, a lot more natural. Perhaps is okay. It works. But saying they might have misunderstood, that's so much more versatile. It lets you politely speculate about something that happened in the past without pointing any fingers. It's perfect for professional problem solving. And finally, while I regret not telling you is grammatically perfect, I should have told you is what you're almost always going to hear from a native speaker. It's quick, it's natural, and it perfectly captures that feeling of regret or self-criticism. So as we start to wrap this up, let's just zoom out for a second and talk about the bigger picture. Because this isn't really about memorizing a bunch of rules, it's about adopting a whole new mindset when you communicate. And this right here is the heart of it. It's about seeing your language as a toolkit. You're no longer just stating facts. You're coloring your language with your attitude, your level of certainty, and your sense of diplomacy. And your modal verbs are the most important tools you've got. You see this all the time in academic or formal writing. A scientist wouldn't write, "These findings prove." That's too strong. They say, "may suggest." Using may is absolutely crucial here. It shows caution, it shows humility, and it shows academic rigor. It actually makes the statement sound more credible, not less. So, I'll leave you with this question. Think about your next meeting or the next email you have to write. Where can you make a C1 upgrade? How can you replace a simple maybe with a more thoughtful might have? Or a direct can you with the more polite could you? Remember, that leap from B2 to C1 happens one conversation at a time. Thanks for watching.